Peace be with you everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Trevor, very grateful to have you here, and today's video is going to be a recap of my weekly fragrance rotation this very first week of 2024. So luckily my rotation actually began on January 1st, so the year is starting off directly on the beginning of 2024 for me, and I wanted to begin the year with an epic fragrance, so I decided to go with Epic Man from Amouage. And this fragrance for me is a very nice resinous, but also it has a certain coniferous, outdoorsy pine woods style freshness to it. Even though it's dark, deep, resinous, rich, spicy, it has a certain almost shower gel like refreshing aspect to it. It's very easy to wear. It does remind me of almost like a green shower gel in some sense, but it's not very sporty in the sense of going to the gym, I would say. I don't think this would be something that I would wear to the gym. It's a little bit cloying for that, but it is something that I would definitely wear out on a hike. So it's sporty in that sense. It does have an outdoorsy quality there. Myrrh is one of the main notes that I get off of this fragrance, and it's one of my favorite notes to be wearing during this time of the year in January, when the cold is starting to get rather bitter. I think it's something that really warms me up and keeps me in a cozy state of affairs while also just being very easy to wear. This was a great wearing experience for me on January 1st, an epic way to start the year. And this was my first full wearing of the fragrance out of the house, so this is a newer acquisition of mine, but it was, I think, probably, I don't know, a lot of heavy hitters this week, so it's hard to say if it was my favorite wearing experience, but it was very easy to wear and luxurious feeling. I do go a little nose blind to most Amouage fragrances, so it was difficult to pick up after a little while, but still could smell it very richly on my skin when I came home and took a shower later that evening. But yeah, a very well done Amouage style spicy green shower gel vibe. Green in the sense of like pine or evergreen forest. I believe the inspiration of this was some type of trade route from China moving through the mountainous areas, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, it's just well done, spicy, resinous, green shower gel, fresh. This is what Epic Man hits me with. So it does have a certain degree of mass appeal with that shower gel type freshness that most of the novice noses around you are going to be able to appreciate. So it's inoffensive despite being very rich and dense with Amouage style fragrance notes. So Epic Man was the beginning of my 2024. Okay. Tuesday, Monday through Friday, I'm at work, so I tend to try and reach for things that aren't too adventurous or artistic in terms of what I'm wearing. I generally like to wear things that are going to be well received by both the general public and the customers with which I am a delivery driver, so I go door to door and interact with people pretty regularly, as well as some of the staff, the servers, and the kitchen at my work. So Versace Eros Parfum was what I chose for Tuesday. Really nice, easy to wear apple, vanilla, and aromatics. This Parfum version on me and my skin, the aromatics really overpower and dominate the sweet vanillic qualities in here, so this is one of the reasons why I can stomach this fragrance, as I find the Eau de Toilette a little bit too cloyingly sweet and vanillic heavy, and I've not gotten my nose on the EDP of this one, but this one is definitely a lot more grown up and leaning into that herbal aspect of its scent profile than is the Eau de Toilette, which I've gotten to wear through testing on at a Sephora once before. And this just, I think, is really easy to wear, pulls me compliments, and like I said, the aromatic side of this really kind of saves the scent profile away from being over cloyingly sweet and juvenilely youthful. So this is actually just one of my favorites to wear for the winter time, because the herbal aromatic side of this, it reminds me of the herbal aromatic sides of like a frozen tundra. You get that kind of a little bit turquoise green style plant matter coming off of it, and then the powdery vanillic aspects of this remind me a little bit of the powdery snow out on the wintry landscape. So even though I think this one is built for year-round and probably a little bit more suited for spring with that little bit of fruity apple tart zingy, the apple in here is not quite zingy, but it does have like a fruity quality to it that could lend itself more to a spring type aroma. I think for me personally, this is really a deep winter winter style fragrance, and a fresh one at that, so it's something that I can wear inoffensively at the office. So that's Versace Eros Parfum for Tuesday. Wednesday, this is my favorite time of the year to reach for leather fragrances, and this one was one that I wore on Wednesday evening. It's when I begin my shift at night, so I wanted something a little bit darker to don in the evening. It was a pretty bitter cold most of the week. This week was dreary and overcast, rather cloudy. I think Thursday and Friday we did have a little bit of sun showing up in the daytime, but it dissipated about mid-afternoon. Anyways, so Wednesday night, this was Tom Ford's Ombre Leather Parfum. This one is very, very close to the original Ombre Leather. I think it would be a little bit redundant to own both, although I do, just because I wanted to back up bottle of the scent profile. It's one of my favorites to wear for the winter time. Gets me compliments. This one differs from the original with a little bit more of a ozonic, airy quality from a violet leaf, and then a little bit more of a powdery touch from the iris. So I think it smooths it over and makes it a little bit less harsh sensation in terms of its texture than the original, but the scent profile is overall pretty much the same. You just get that rich, plush, black leather that you would get in a luxury vehicle when you step into it. That nice upholstery with a good amount of give to it, like you could squeeze it and it's just got that firm response to it, a little bit supple in that sense. Unlike a cracked dry leather, this is really supple in its the way that it comes off. It very much like this matte black finish on the bottle. I think they did a really good job of the presentation with the Ombre Leather line, and yeah, just didn't get any compliments. I think all week I haven't gotten anybody mentioning something on my fragrances, but this was one of my favorites to wear in terms of just favorite scent profiles and rocking it out in the dark of the winter evening. So that was Ombre Leather Parfum for Wednesday. Thursday reached for something that would probably not be considered so much a wintertime fragrance, but I think this is a perfect year-round signature scent, and I did wake up on Thursday morning and it was a lot more sunny and bright than it had been all week, and so I wanted something that would harmonize well with that fresh, bright quality of the wintertime, and I went for Creed's Green Irish Tweed. And this has a certain amount of I love wearing sort of green-centric fragrances during January, at least as my tastes have evolved. In the past, I kind of reached for more boozy fragrances, but I felt those were better for December leading up to New Year's Eve, and so putting myself in transportive experiences with my fragrances into the more evergreen forest type vibe is something that I've gravitated more towards in my fragrance journey for the months of January. And so Green Irish Tweed, although not so much a evergreen forest, it does transport me into a landscape of greenery, and this has that nice little powdery texture too that I think harmonizes with the dry, frigid air of the wintertime, and is just super easy to wear. It's got a nice maturity to it, but a timeless, classic presentation that I think goes over well with most people. And I have gotten compliments from young people on this fragrance in the past, and was another one of my favorite wearing experiences for this week. So that was Creed Green Irish Tweed for Thursday. Okay, Friday, this is not so much a sample, but it is a splash bottle, a small mini of a fragrance that I've been deciding whether or not to pick up, and I probably will grab one closer to this upcoming autumn time, which is where I feel like this fragrance would do best in. It is something that I was testing out for the winter, but I think it's got more of an autumnal scent profile, and this is Eau Noire from Dior's Privé collection line. It is, I think Eau is like water and Noir is night, so water of the night. This is the recent Francis Kirkjohn formulation. I think Mage had a version of this fragrance, although I think MFK originally created the DNA and then Mage reformulated it. Now that MFK's back at Dior, he reformulated it again, so I have not tried any formulation other than this, the most recent 2023 version, and it comes into a nice middle ground, I feel, between Dior Eau Sauvage, the 2012 version, and like a Lolita Lempica Homme. or Eau Masculine. It has that very rich lavender with a powdery vanilla scent profile that the Lolita Lempica fragrance has, but it isn't quite as smoky as that fragrance. And then it also has that sort of licorice style resinous quality that the original 2012 Eau Sauvage Parfum has. So I think it's kind of in the middle between those two, gets a little out of the barbershop scent profile from the Dior Eau Sauvage and more into that powdery vanillic sweet sensation that the Lolita Lempica has going on. Both of those are fragrances that I really enjoy for the January frigid months, but this, just the way that it is overall composed, I think would be great for maybe like a Halloween night, is kind of where I really envision this shining its brightest. But really enjoyed the wearing experience with this one. It was brighter out that day, and I think this is a fragrance that could do well in both bright and dark environments, despite being named Water of the Night. Really love the way that the licorice is done in here, although I feel like that somewhat dissipates in after the opening, and then there's a coffee note that kind of really shows up and offers a little bit of this like nice roasted texture and complements the sweet facets of the vanilla closer to the dry down. Something that I'm looking forward to wearing a lot more of, but like I said, I think it's cementing itself as more of an autumnal fragrance for me. So that was Friday's Dior Eau Noire. Okay, Saturday I didn't really do much. I did a little bit of laundry, but really only left the house to do that. It was kind of a lazy day, very dark, grimy, overcast, gray tones. Kind of looked a little bit like my desktop here, and just was enjoying the sitting around the house, relaxing kind of vibe. So I went with this classic match from Belcam. This is a clone of the original Polo Green. However, I've actually never gotten my nose on the vintage Polo Green. The original Cosmere, I think, was the distribution company at the time, but I've heard that this one comes a lot closer to that iteration of the fragrance than the modern offerings that Polo has going out on the market now. Overall, though, this is a really nice pine with powdery tobacco. It's got a powdery kind of textural feel, almost more dusty in its dry quality than makeup-y style powdery. And then a beautiful sort of pine style, fresh, green, invigorating sensation going on. Just really easy to wear, very long lasting, and you can pick this up at Walmart or Amazon for under $10 for this 100 ml. Definitely one of my favorites to spray in the winter time, especially during this colder season in January, where I like to say transportative fragrances to evergreen forests is what my bread and butter are for this time of the year. So that was Belcam Classic Match for Saturday. And finally, Sunday had a chance to bust out this absolute gem of a fragrance, very much a masterpiece composition in my opinion. Strange that it really didn't have any commercial success when it was on the market, but this is Balenciaga Poome. And this fragrance is a very vast fragrance, and I think masterfully executed, well done. The blending is superb, and it hits on so many fragrance family categories. Like, it's got pretty much everything but aquatics going on in here. You know, there's like a certain dry cinnamon quality that reminds me of like you think of like Candyland, and you have those landscapes with like sugar made snow and like candy cane trees and things like that. This sort of reminds me of something in that vein, but it's more like a desert where the sand is made out of cinnamon sugar, and it's like blowing, and it's crossing your face, and you just get this kind of sweet but very dry cinnamon vibe going on. I think there's like some honey sweetening this up as well, that kind of gives it more of like a beeswaxy style honey textural feel, especially more towards the dry down. It gets into this very nice waxy kind of sweet sensation. There's just, and then like the very good amount of aromatic green qualities with a little bit of a hint of animalics, but the animalics are not off-putting at all. The oak moss in here is very much powerhouse-esque, gives a really good textural feel. Just everything about this fragrance is just so masterfully done, and although it's hard for me to say if it would be everyone's cup of tea, because it does have that powerhouse oak moss going on in here, but it's so well integrated into the rest of the notes in the composition. It just like wears so easily, it almost, you forget you're even wearing a fragrance, but it's just there pushing off your skin in powerhouse fashion. And although it's not beast mode in the sense that it lasts me, I couldn't smell this when I was taking my shower the following day, but it does last throughout the remainder of the wearing experience for like a whole day's worth. And just really something that I would recommend trying to find one of those minis, like maybe a 2 ml mini or something like that, that you can pick up for like $40 just to get your nose on this, because it's just really something that you know, I rarely would give a 10 out of 10 to something, and I don't know if I've quite gotten enough wearing experiences out of this to want to warrant rating it with that, but it's definitely something that's in the ballpark of, you know, in the running for me giving a 10 out of 10 to a rating on a fragrance. So that was Balenciaga's Pour Homme, rounding off the end of the week for Sunday. So that was my weekly rotation for the very first week of January 2024. Wanted to start it off on an epic note, so I began with Epic Man from Amouage. Definitely leaned into more dark and green aromatic style fragrances here. That's going to be the theme of the month for me moving forward. Let me know what kind of fragrances you've been reaching for. Let me know your rotation in the comment section down below, and let me know if there's any fragrances that are in that dark green sort of category that I'm missing out on. Let me know in the comment section down below so I can look into those. And as always, I really appreciate you sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.